What's going on, Matthew?
Bobby, how are you?
Ah, I am. I'm pretty damn good. I was a little upset after watching yesterday's broadcast. I was very light in product on the hair. And when I don't go heavy product, I go gray really quick. You know, I could actually be on a David Blaine, and he could make my hair go gray just by getting a blow dryer out. It's amazing.
Or you could just shave it down number two like me and
Full on dome.
deal with
Hi,
it.
Matt. What do we got? What's Tuesday, the 5th of January, 2021?
Hey, it's an election day again, Bobby.
A little election Tuesday in the great state of Georgia.
I'm so over elections. Aren't we over?
Dude, I cannot believe this has occupied this much of my life at this point. I would rather talk about things like this.
All of last year, and we've started this year, all election, all the time.
I saw this back in, I guess it was back in December. Haven't had a chance to bring it up. FAA announces new rules for drones, paving the way for commercial deliveries. I got to tell you, I can't think of a more fucking annoying thing than having thousands of drones over your. I mean, like, it's ridiculous to me. And when I tweet, when I saw this, I retweeted it, and I said, rural areas, this will now become target practice.
Like, I was going to say, Bobby, we should come up with a drone swatter, much like the fly swatter. It's all in the shovels and picks, right? We need a business.
Dude, I'll tell you what it is. They already have it. It's called 10-aught buckshot. Goose load, double magnum goose load, knock that fucking drone right out of the sky.
Yeah, but will that be a federal offense by taking out a drone because it's FAA approved?
Dude, I don't know, but one more thing that
the lawyers love it. The lawyers love it.
One more thing that I know, we need an Amish 2.0, right?
Amish?
Yeah, the Amish. Just like, technology's fine, but if it's not net positive for making you closer to your family and closer to your community, now we can just have drones. How about I just never leave my chair? Just hook me up. I'll put on the Oculus, and that'll be it.
Well, and don't they have a machine that can exercise you while you sit in that chair? I'm sure.
Matt, I'm just telling you right now, the world has gone freaking crazy, and this is how crazy it is, Matt. You haven't seen this. This is how freaking crazy it is.
Oh my God.
Cosmopolitan, Matt, this is healthy. I got to tell you something. I know you struggle with weight. I struggle with, I was a skinny guy my whole life, right? Till I got married and the good cook showed up in the house. It never stopped. I'm seriously, I do want to say it. How in the fuck can this be what we have to deal with? This is healthy. I'm at a loss for words. It's not that, believe me, I know I struggle with weight. I know it's not healthy. I feel like shit when I've eaten too much, when I've packed on the pounds. And this is where we're at. Up is down and down is up. And now,
is that Lizzo, or is that just another fat black woman?
No, it is not Lizzo. I don't believe, and it's not about fat shaming, and it's not about.
I know. Hey, listen, I got love handles. I had them my whole life. Even when I'm skinny, I got love handles. It's just the way God made me. But I don't. Is it ultimately the healthiest thing? Well, if your blood pressure and everything. Again, I don't know her. I don't know this beautiful woman's BP or her cholesterol levels. I'm sure they're not, within the healthy range. I'm just saying. I'm sure they're not.
And I think you for sure
mine aren't, with an extra 25, 30, and she's got an extra 100.
Well, I know one thing. I don't think I've ever been to a funeral of somebody well into their 80s and 90s that carried a lot of weight. So maybe that might be healthy, but it's surely not representative of longevity.
Well, are we going back to the Bohemian times of the 1800s when?
Hey, listen, man. There's a difference between.
Big was beautiful again.
There's a difference, though.
Bob, there's a difference. Come on, you know what this is all about. It's the same garbage. We talked about this before we came on air. It's placating the lowest common denominator. That's what we do in this country now.
Well,
if you're a giraffe and you identify as one, Bob, you need your own bathroom now. And if you're healthy and you identify as a healthy, fat black woman, you're going to need your own bathroom next. I mean, because this is what it's all about. It's all least common denominator politics versus which should be what is called, again, I'm going to just jump on this real quick because we didn't even plan this, but I hear populism and I hear what I'm going to call least common denominator, Nancy Pelosi politics. They're bipolar, right? And populism just means democracy, by the way. So if more people like one thing, you should try to, govern towards the masses. The masses aren't being governed towards anymore, Bob. Come on. That's all it is.
Well,
it's the least common denominator, which again, we don't teach simple mathematical subjects anymore. So kids probably don't even know what the LCD is anymore versus the most common denominator. Yeah. Again, we don't deal as politicians in what we should be doing, which is enabling our masses. We deal with the minority groups, and by minority, I don't mean colored, so don't jump down my throat. I just mean you identify as a giraffe, so you need your own bathroom.
Yeah, I had heard too, part of this thread is that it is the giant unhealthy food corporate conglomerate that wants to push that, it doesn't matter if what your blood pressure is, quit judging me, quit judging anything, quit trying to put people in boxes. One size doesn't fit all. And you know what? To some degree, that's fine. But again, show me the last 90-year-old that had, a BMI of 50.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. We live in crazy times, Matt.
Hey, by the way, red alert. I just got one of my sons just texted me and said, Michigan is truly a basketball school and just broke into the top 10 for the year. So I keep saying it when nobody believed it.
Let me ask you a question.
Now they can lose, but now they're 9-0 and number 10 in the country.
Could this be the year that it's a Big Ten Final Four? Because there's some power in the Big Ten, man.
Dude, 9 in the top 25 today. Nine Big Ten. How many Pac-12 schools are in the top 25, by the way?
0. I don't know. 1. Oregon?
And yes, the Quack.
The Ducks.
The Quack. Duckish. Well, Nike U always gets special benefit now. It's Nike U.
All right, Matt.
Which, by the way, Phil did. There was word that the head coach for Oregon, and I'm drawing a blank, Cristobal, there was word that he was about to leave, possibly to go to maybe, Auburn. And Phil Knight, Uncle Phil, stepped up and wrote the check to keep him. I don't know how a state school gets away with that, by the way, but the university apparently couldn't pay him, but Phil Knight was able to make up it's kind of a gap insurance for your head coaching now.
Yeah, but Matt, he's the coach. He's not a player. So
no, but you understand that as a war, like, for example, the Mike Bellotti, the former coach of the Oregon Ducks, who does play-by-play now and was an employee of the state, has a pension. And the pension takes your last 2 years of income, which is typically for coaches your highest. And when you get fired, they get those last 2 years averaged as an annual pension for the remainder of their life, cash free. So Mike Bellotti right now is receiving about $750,000 a year tax free from the state of Oregon, while he gets to be a broadcaster and do other special dinners and speeches where he gets paid. I'm just saying. That just fits into what we're talking about. Is that okay? You okay with that? All you football fans?
It's a nice gig, man.
Don't give me.
Right here, let's. I'm going to rifle through this because we want to get to some price discovery. Mike Pompeo, China's Communist Party, is already inside the gate. I know that this is on a lot of people's radar, but the interesting thing for us is Jeffrey Sprecher, right? He's the CEO of the ICE Exchange, chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, also husband to a certain candidate for senator,
Kelly Loeffler.
And seemingly at odds because this just happened yesterday.
Nice little transition here. I like
right?
this.
I mean, the world is upside down. You got
Yeah.
Trump, in Georgia fully campaigning for the wife of this guy who just said, you know what?
Who's the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange?
Yeah.
And Pompeo just said
on the whole Chinese phone carrier thing. There's a lot of, believe me, there's a lot of money that gets transferred between exchanges for listing and delisting, I'm sure.
Yep.
I don't know. Up is down and down is up.
It's a good point.
And again, the age of ambiguity that we live in. I mean, it's
well,
unbelievable.
but again, we're not suggesting any improprieties. But it's just we're looking at the as traders, you got to follow the money, and this just something stinky about it is all we're saying. Something stinky.
All right, Matt. You know what? Well, let's come back to this one. Let's talk about because we're going to talk about some price discovery and health stocks, and we just want to backdrop it that. The pandemic has pushed hospitals to their brink when those areas are, really producing cases. And Matt, I know you spent a lot of time in the medical field as a salesperson, and you understand the model that they've adopted is not dissimilar to the car manufacturing market.
Yeah, I was in the medical device business from a sales and marketing perspective for almost 7-8 years in the early 90s, and before I started trading full time. And I can tell you back then the push was all about just in time, and they were following, and they were 10 years behind the auto companies doing it in the 80s, where all the manufacturing was being pushed either out of Detroit, where the unions were killing the high wages, rather, were killing the manufacturing businesses in Detroit, specifically where I grew up. And all the hospitals at that time were rushing to follow the success, right, of reducing costs by having just-in-time, basically delivery systems. I worked for a company that we literally would bring in every disposable product into a container that was self-contained. It was all sterilized, ready to go for your hip surgery, your heart surgery. And then at the end, everything was put back into that container. It was a leak proof. You could cover it up, and then it went right into your incinerator and burned completely to CO2 and water, the company claimed. Who knows? But that's what we were selling. And the point is, hospitals, hospitals are not new to just-in-time, and the just-in-time system does not work when there is epidemic or pandemic-esque situations. And that is because they want to limit ICU beds, and they want to limit you staying in the hospital. That was the whole goal, get you out so we don't have to, waste our time checking on your temperature and everything. Just get them operated on. My dad's a perfect example of it. Just here in February, we put him in an assisted living before COVID. While there, falls, breaks his hip. They sent him to surgery, the hospital down the road. He's there for a night and a half. So one night he has a surgery, and he's back at the assisted living after repairing his hip, is locked down after COVID for the next 4 months. That's what the system is set up to do. The hospital system is not set up to contain you. It's set to push you to extended living or assisted living or outside care. All in the while, they today are getting paid somewhere around $40,000 to label you a death of COVID. And those are the facts. So if they have patients that die while in their care or hospital, the only way that they're going to recoup some of that money is to allow them to, basically, get paid. And so they're complicit somewhat in what is going on. You can't say anything but. And with that, Bob, I was thinking about it this morning, and these stocks, I haven't looked at them in a while. I don't trade them actively. These are more portfolio-esque stocks for mutual funds. But when I started, looking at some of these hospital stocks today, I was like, of course, this theme is so vivid. And what I did here is I've got a number of stocks that these are just long-term charts. This is looking at about a year and change. And you can see this was where we were prior to COVID. And this is Community Health Systems, which is another, hospital system that's out there. Not another, but the first one I want to look at for you, Bob. And it has, we're at all-time highs. Well, not all-time highs, but we're back where we were before COVID started. So guess what? I mean, this has been a boom time for this and the rest of them. Humana is another company that owns hospitals and insurance products. Look at this. It bottomed all the way down here at $210, traded up to $470 right at the beginning of, right on election day. It spiked. That was its high, right? Biden's won. Woohoo! It's sold off since, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. It's right back into the high, and the high back there for Humana was here. Tenet, another huge hospital system, is at highs for the past year and a half again. This stuff has been a boon for these hospital companies, and by the way, a lot of these pay pretty nice dividends. Not nice, but let's see. Community doesn't pay anything. Humana pays about 0.6%. Tenet is not delivering a yield right now. And then HCA Healthcare, another one at an all-time high. So this entire sector has been up, Bob, because of they're taking advantage of what's going on in the current environment, and the lack of beds is nothing new. So I don't want to beat a dead horse about this. Isn't about COVID. It's about what's going on and how bureaucracy and this management of things is really driving things. And it's not healthy. It's not a healthy environment. It wasn't healthy before. Obamacare was never good for people like you and me who bought our own policies. All it did is shift the cost to you and I. You know it. I know it. Trump knows it. Obama knows it. All it did is it didn't reduce anybody's cost except it put more on the middle guy. That's all it did.
Right on, Matt. Yeah, I mean, again, the age of ambiguity, because I've heard, over and over again how hospitals say they're suffering because they've had to cut back on elective surgeries and they've had to lay off staff. Yet you look at the chart and you're like, who's suffering? You got record stock prices, which would, I would assume indicate record revenue. Maybe it's 37,000 at a time.
It could be.
Ring the register.
When you have a zero on the expense line, that's a good business model, Bob, by the way.
Absolutely. Hey, Matt,
and by the way, you get a insurance fee for the COVID, and you get an exit fee if there's a death from the COVID. There's 2 fees there.
Nothing wrong with 2 fees. We say, like voting in Chicago, vote early, vote often. And if you can get an annuity, that annuity is the best system there is.
I was watching, an episode of Shameless. It's, the new season's on. I just love that show. And they have some pretty good, they make fun of Chicago, South Side Chicago, and they make fun of the whole politics of Chicago. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, don't tell me that, shockingly, that elections can't be corrupted or corruptible.
Right.
I mean, they're experts at it in Chicago and have been for a couple hundred years. Anyway, this was yesterday. Breaking news, major news. U.S. Treasury, OCC, the largest U.S. banking regulator, with new guidelines allowing U.S. banks to use public blockchains and dollar stablecoins as a settlement infrastructure in the U.S. financial system. I said a couple years ago, I watched the Fed governor at Consensus in New York, which is an Ethereum blockchain get together. And the St. Louis Fed governor said that the U.S. has never been opposed to multiple units of money, thereby hinting that they're not going to get in the way of the entrepreneurial spirit that blockchain might bring. I was actually impressed right away, being a doubting Thomas, when I got into blockchain and started meeting people. The basics, Matt, is that they believe that people always act in their own self-interest, right? People are selfish. And if you need to build systems that try to protect the evolution of that selfishness. We all know that, you're an entrepreneur, you change something, you invent something, you gain market share from the disruption. And then most of the time in human systems, you spend the rest of your life, the decade, a century protecting that market share.
Defending against competition.
Absolutely. You form a guild. It's why you need a license to put nail polish on a fingernail. Like that could be something catastrophic if you did it wrong. Anyway, this is going to be
the blue. No, the red.
Right. This is going to be interesting because for me, it's one more thing that says to me the cat is out of the bag. You ain't putting it back in. And there's a lot of people and a lot of money trying to put together these systems that are fairer, immutable, more equitable for everybody. And there's a lot of applications for it. So for me, this maybe we should bring up the Visa chart because.
Well, the market agrees with you, by the way. Here's Bitcoin today, Bobby, and 10% up since 11:30 last night here on the West Coast. So 10%, just another 10% move in Bitcoin.
And this is not even saying that Bitcoin ends up being the one.
No, but I'm just saying this is crazy. It's crazy watching this thing move 10%. Why did it turn here? Well, we'd have to look at a few different levels here, but it basically was a higher low, and we're just back into the chop. But remember, just yesterday we were talking about the 20% sell-off over the weekend. Well, we're all the way, we're back from 27.8, couldn't roll over, and now we're below the low, still at 34.8 or whatever it was. But it was good news, I guess, today, at least today for the stock or for the Bitcoin.
For sure. And again, I don't know if Bitcoin ends up being the winner long term. I don't really care because, there's going to be a lot of trading in the meantime. This is Ethereum. And it also, but what I wanted to point out, it also has had a bit of a moonshot. I know that if you've been paying attention to us, I have been talking in particular about how you need to pay attention to the cross. And for weeks and weeks and weeks now, there has not been a better story than Bitcoin. But this has changed dramatically in the past several days. That's the daily fully in up momentum now. And the weekly also for me on this cross. Of course, we need to fit a lot of time left here in the week. Cryptos trade 24/7, 365. So not till Sunday night does this thing roll to next week. But that 0318 level for me would be very impressive for me to want to be. And in fact, I am. I already am and I'm long Ethereum and not Bitcoin. Right, the pairs is incredibly important if you're going to be in this space. I mean, it is so early in the day in this that you don't know who's going to win the race. So you better be paying attention to the pairs if you want to drive the alpha in your investment in crypto. And you know what? That's what we do at marketvitals.io, right? We try to drive that alpha through conversations on what makes more relative sense. Like for you, Matt, I know you're not going to relatively think the Bears have a chance to win the Super Bowl. There's probably a better horse in the race in the NFC.
It's not just me. They'll be out after this Saturday or Sunday whenever they play.
Anyway, Matt, that's what I'm seeing.
Now, the only thing that matters in the game is the point spread. So
8.5, Matt. 8.5.
They might survive because they get 8.5, but they're out of the season.
Well, your money might survive.
Your money might survive, but the Packers are moving on, my friend.
Man, what do you think about shaking up the playoffs? Like, for instance, me and my son both think that the Washington Football Club should be sitting at home and the Miami Dolphins should be shifted to the NFC as a 10-6 team.
Yeah. So you have an override rule if a conference non-champion is 3 games above your champion.
Here's my thought. For you to make the playoffs, even as a conference champion, you have to be 500.
That's fair. And none of these guys are even close.
Yeah, I mean,
they're like what 6-9? 6-9 leads the NFC East. Is that what it is? 6-9.
I mean, it's like the NFC East should be relegated. Like we need the soccer thing. Like, sorry, your whole division.
Well, it used to be the Norris division, which was the Bears, Lions, Packers. They were the ones that were never 500. So that would have that would have thrown out most of your pleasure of making the playoffs. because the Bears, what were they, 7-9 themselves? I mean, I don't even understand how.
No, the Bears are 8-8. Slow down. All right, they're 500.
They should definitely not be in the playoffs.
They're 8-8. All right, 8-8.
Oh, so the rules that you just made.
No, I actually agree with you. I actually agree with you that the Dolphins should replace the Bears also.
Yes, because they're a better team. Clearly, they got more. I'd rather watch Tua than whoever is quarterbacking the fucking.
Slow down now, Mitchell. The Limp Biscuit. Anyway, Matt, the rest of the trading action fairly benign here as we wait on the Georgia election and
we've been waiting on elections. It feels like
I know
the entire 2020 campaign, and now we're already 2 days into this year, and we're waiting for an election. Please stop the elections affecting all capital markets. Please, I'm asking.
Well, one for sure thing that it hasn't stopped, and I know if you've been paying attention, this has been on our radar, and we've shared, and I'm going to share again. And because this story is going to drive a lot, Matt, and it's back to the commodities, the beans in the teens, totally on fire. If I had my guitar, I'd play a little Jose Feliciano, "Come On Baby, Light My Fire," because this chart is absolutely Bitcoin-esque. And I got to tell you, I think all things being equal, I don't care what happens if we have a real commodity bull market. I said yesterday that I think these are going to be the greatest trading markets in a generation. I will asterisk that today and say that's only if we do truly have a change in the commodity sector and we have a great commodity bull run, because that disrupts so many apple carts, right? When producers can't get a fix on what their costs are going to be, people start scrambling for protection, profit margins get squeezed. The apple cart is very, very disrupted when there's inflation in the metric. And, for sure, this doesn't look like this chart's going away, right? So
it's going to be in play. I mean, it has been for 4 months, and I don't see that stopping. It's been one-way trade, and we were expecting the one-way trade, but you're going to start getting two-way, but probably before the next wave up, I would guess. But
I would tend to agree with you too. And as we fractal out to the monthly here,
yeah, it's not that.
How about this though? Fully room out for a 1462 is that collar on the monthly. You got these highs back in 01 May of 14, right? That high is up at 1536.
Well, we were having
lifetime highs 03 of September 12, 2012.
Well, I mean, I would suggest even that rally started back in 07, and then you had the two-way trading for a couple of years, 8, 9, 10, and then we had the further explosion. And that's what I mean by kind of what we're going to see here. This is just the start of probably a longer bull move on a longer frame chart, where the deep pockets boys are benefiting from just getting long every pullback that you're going to get. It's not just going to roll over. It's we sat around 9 for 2 years, so that was enough base for the long-term holders to come back in and say, now's the time to make some money.
Right on.
And it's happening.
And that's going to show up, man. It's going to show up across the board. Like I said, inputs drive, when the volatility in inputs increases, the volatility of price action across the board is going to increase.
Right.
I can't wait, man. I made some money on this bean play, and I too am being patient and waiting for pullbacks to continue this bull story.
Hey, did you see Gary Cohn got named to the board of IBM?
I did not. Please inform me about the significance.
Gary Cohn's an ex, Goldman guy, and he was the chair or president. And he was he was the treasury guy for Obama there for a while, I believe. Gary Cohn. Anyways, it's just interesting that you're financializing, you're basically, getting a guy that's been involved around markets now is on the board of IBM, which tells me there's a bigger story there. So, because IBM is not about mainframes so much anymore and enterprise systems, which are dying, right? That's all taking place in the cloud. But there's something going on there with the intertwining of Gary Cohn, IBM, Goldman Sachs, and markets. So it's a big macro thought. I just think, again, and the stock is up today. IBM is up on that news. So the market obviously does feel favorable about that piece of news. Just throwing it out there, and I haven't looked at the stock in a while, so let me bring that in just to show you.
Yeah, bring it up because it had been on a decline since about 12 or 13.
This is just a couple week chart that I'm looking at to start with, just to see. But you can see it's been holding there, and then on a longer term, not quite a daily, but this thing is, it's been heavy for a long time. Kind of to your point, it really hasn't been going anywhere. This is a daily chart. It's kind of just sitting in balance, barely hanging on. So these little nuggets of news are helping it, but I don't know how much. And every time you usually get a spike, IBM, the last time it had it was there in October, it sold off. So
for sure, Matt. I know this. They do have and they have pushed. I remember covering this probably a year or two ago. IBM, one of the largest holders of blockchain patents out there.
Yeah.
And so maybe with this news of the government regs going their way, that's what we do here at Market Vitals. Like we draw dots and then try to connect them.
Well, we're sleuthing, I mean, that's what traders need to do. This is the fundamental side. To me, that's the fundamental side that you need to pay attention to is what is the story in the headline actually telling you? What is it actually telling you? And, maybe IBM is a takeover play now, right? Even though it's got a market cap of 112 billion, maybe, Shopify buys them because of that technology they have. I mean, it's the only way that Shopify can add 100 billion at their lofty valuation of 100 billion, right? So maybe you merge those two companies together.
Right now that would be the perfect thing. Shopify buys IBM, and more incredible news.
Shopify has $134 billion market cap. I mean, it could be a merger of equals. I mean, I'm just saying, if you M&A guys need any help, I'm here for you.
All right, Matt, as usual, a fantastic time hanging out.
So, some of our members are asking questions as we do the show often. One of the questions, Warren had was, hey, when will we know the election of the Georgia results?
Let me tell you something that I saw it. I thought it was the Secretary of State guaranteeing that the results would be out tomorrow morning.
He guaranteed it?
Yeah, that's the age of ambiguity that we live in. Like, listen, man, this thing is hard. We already counted them. You read, I mean, I read it every day. I'm blown away. I'm blown away by things every day. Up is down, down is up. If only they would count my trades like that. That would be interesting accounting. I need Dominion voting systems to run my P&L. Every loser.
Well, that's what Nick Leeson was the early user of Dominion voting systems when he was at Barings Bank. That's how he broke them. He took all of his bad trades and gave them to, put them in the drawer somewhere, and Dominion took care of that for him.
Listen to me. Dominion running my P&L. Every loser's a 0.8 of a dollar, and every winner's a 1.2.
1.2.
I got to tell you, I think I'm devastating as a trader then. All right, man, listen. Always a I knocked him out, folks, with that one. I knocked him out. He can't come back. He's laying on the ground. Listen, visit us at marketvitals.io. Get a level of, discipline, at least another opinion, at least somebody that will not, and I promise you this, I will not piss down your back and tell you it's raining. I will tell you exactly what I think of your position, win, lose, or draw. And I got to tell you something, throughout my trading career, I have always depended on, at times, other people's insight into trades, trade setups, risk and reward. That's how you evolve as a trader. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, Matt. Anything else?
Hey, Israel just announced, news just came across the wire, that they are also joining the UK and approving tighter closing of schools and non-essential businesses. Folks, it's coming here again. I can just see the second wave is already here. De Blasio today wants to close all flights to the UK because there's There's a, the new strain is in New York. Well, dude,
Hey,
you already missed
idiot, it's already
You
there.
already missed it, dude.
Yeah,
Stop
you
it.
missed it. You
Stop
missed
the
it.
noise. Stop it. Stop.
Last
Stop.
month's news.
Stop. Ugh. Over
All
it.
right, Matt, we'll see you tomorrow.